Welcome to Live in the D Plus, everyone. This is where Live in the D and digital meet. I am Tati Amara, and you can join us here every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. And I am very excited for our conversation today. Now, many of you might be thinking, hey, look, the new year just started. It's too early to be thinking about college and college applications and scholarships and so on. But our next guests will definitely disagree with you, and they have an event coming up that they are going to share with us about. Join me in welcoming Gwen Thomas, Executive Director of Fresh Perspectives Seminars and college and career readiness expert. She is going to be a special guest at an event that is hosted by the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity this weekend. And also joining us is Sterling Littlejohn, a representative of the Alphas. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Now, Gwen, we've had you on Live in the D. You and I have connected many times. But for those who are not familiar with you and the work you do, give everyone a little bit of information about your background and talk to us about the literally millions of dollars that you have helped parents and students secure for their upper education.
Well, thank you for having me. So we are a Detroit-based nonprofit, and we work with students to get them on the trajectory to win scholarships, to pay for their college education, to make sure they're going into sustainable careers. And we want to make sure families understand the importance of planning for college. And so we've been doing that now for about 15 years. Actually, we do that in Detroit and across the country.
That's impressive. So give us a dollar amount, because I was at your website yesterday. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, we've helped students secure about $30 million in scholarships.
Wow.
And the goal is to make sure students understand that if you don't plan, you'll end up in debt. And so we make sure families understand what the cost of college looks like, and making sure that they understand that it's important that they select the right college and the right major, and understand that the ultimate goal is to go into careers that are sustainable and to meet the needs of the labor market.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people need to be very rational about this approach in college. And the other thing too, like, student loans are no joke. I know people who've been paying for 10 years and owe more now than they did when they originally took the money out. So this is priceless, literally priceless information.
Yeah, I mean, people, I'm gonna be honest with you, they try to fake it till they make it.
Yes.
And you have to be bold enough to have the conversation with your family, with your student, to say, listen, this is how much money I have saved, or if I've not saved anything, you need to be honest. So kids won't have this, idea that, they'll be able to go to this, major college in New York City, NYU, or whatever, and they're not able to, afford it. The family is not able to afford it. I've seen families, and I've talked to families who have sent their kids to college, and the kids come home with a job that they have never been able to really reap a benefit from it. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that students are going to college and coming back with a degree and not with debt. We want to make sure students are able to utilize that degree and go into a field that they've studied for, because mm-hmm. far too many are going into fields and they're never able to work in that field.
Yeah, and that's not what we want at all. So guidance is key. But now, how did you connect with the Alphas to create this event or be a part of it?
Well, I'm a part of the event for the Alphas. We've had a long-lasting relationship. They have recognized the work that I've done on the national stage at their national conference, and I've worked in other cities with the Alphas, and they have always been there for me when we have our Black Friday boot camp. Then they come, roll up their sleeves, and help us unpack boxes and so it's a natural fit, and I'm just happy to work with them. So when they call and when I call, we all work together in tangent.
And you make it happen.
Yeah.
So Sterling, talk with us about education, and do you have a particular passion for it, or helping kids get on the right track when they go to college?
Yes, absolutely. So before I kind of talk about my journey, I just want to share just a little bit just about, how this partnership all began, and just give you just an overview just about, our organization at large. So the Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was founded December 4th, 1906 in Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. And actually here in the heart of Detroit, our Gamma Lambda chapter has been part of the community since 1919.
All right, you just had a Founders Day, so happy
Yeah,
Founders Day.
Thank you, appreciate
to you
it.
and the Kappas out out there, so I don't have any issues. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And our Go to High School, Go to College program has actually been involved since 1922. And so it's been a huge fabric part of our, organization. And within our chapter, this is our first time doing our college fair. And we're definitely very excited about it. We're going to have a lot of colleges on site. We're also going to have SAT training techniques for students. And then we're also going to have, obviously Gwen here, she's going to speak about the college admission process to be able to help students be able to learn how to have financial flexibility while they're in college.
Yeah.
And this event is very important to us. It's definitely going to help a lot of students progress.
Well,
for
I'm
sure.
excited for this because there are a lot of myths going on out there, because there are a lot of changes happening in the education sphere. One of them being the FAFSA application. So first, for people who don't know, I want you to explain to them what it is and kind of help us dispel some of the current myths that are floating around, like it may not exist in a year or so.
Well, the FAFSA is a free application for student aid. And so what that really looks like is that students are encouraged to apply, and so they'll know what their options are should they need funding. Now, a lot of times people will think that the FAFSA is only for low-income students, and they will say, families will say, oh, it's no need us applying for a FAFSA. The federal government, they know how much money you make anyway.
Right.
Okay, so it's an opportunity for you to find out what federal funds are available. So if you're low income, anything under $60,000, they will tell you how much of $7,300, which is the maximum Pell Grant that you're eligible for. So if you're not eligible for a Pell Grant, there still might be other options like subsidized loans or unsubsidized loans. Subsidized loans mean you don't have to pay that loan back until you graduate. Unsubsidized loans meaning as soon as you are able to secure that loan, the payments are done monthly. And so that is the difference. So what happens too is that, when you apply for FAFSA and you're looking at how much you have as far as disposable income, they will tell you whether or not you are able to get any of those loans. If not, you're encouraged to go get private loans. So what happens with most families, there is a gap. Mm-hmm. And so I tell families, when you get the student aid report, it's going to tell you what you qualify for, what loans you qualify for, and if any, what Pell Grants. So you don't have to say yes and accept those loans. Mm-hmm. Because that is not free money.
It is not free money.
Okay.
They're going to want their money back.
Right. So families, I encourage them to look at those dollars. And so whatever that gap is, if it says that you can get $20,000, well, wow, thank you for this $20,000 loan. You don't have to be thankful for it. You can ignore it. And you can turn around and do the work to win scholarships. And that is what I encourage families to do.
Yeah, scholarships are key.
Yeah.
Because there's money out there, and a lot of which doesn't even get claimed, right?
Exactly. But we have some families who really don't understand the process. And then you have some students who are intimidated by the scholarship writing process. So as a scholarship coach and as a guru, I do this all day long with scholarships and working with students. I teach students how to write scholarships that win as opposed to scholarships simply to get them in. Mm-hmm. And so the companies are looking for substance. They're looking for, exactly what you're dreaming of, what area, what career. And so we
kind
teach
of who you are as a person, would you say?
Right, exactly. So we try to teach students to write with character and with conviction. And so that is the difference when we show students how to write, and then once they understand it's a process and as many scholarships as you can get in, it's a game.
It really is.
It really is a game.
It really is.
Our students have, thankful parents have been thankful. Bottom line is we want to save them lots of money and make sure they take advantage of all of the scholarships that are available.
So is that going to be one of the things that you cover at the event
Yes.
this weekend? So let's talk about that before we talk about vocational schools, because I do
Yes.
want to touch on that. What are some of the resources and workshops that will be available this weekend? So we've got scholarship, essay
Yeah,
writing.
So I'm going to be talking about college admission and particularly
Okay.
post-affirmative action
Okay.
and what that's going to look like, because we have some colleges that are getting rid of DEI. And so students really need to know what that looks like for them now if they decide to attend a certain college, what the goals are. And so a lot of these colleges are beginning to talk about what their goals are. And so students still, again, that admission statement, that personal statement, we're going to be talking about how to write an effective personal statement. Again, students will particularly have a lot of fluff in these statements, and we want them to write concisely and effectively. In addition, we'll talk about FAFSA. In addition, we'll talk about sustainability, making sure they're going into 21st century careers. And so in my workshops, I'm doing 2 workshops, I will talk about all of those things to make sure we get students on the right track, to make sure that they're understanding what that journey and that pathway to success is going to look like. So I'm just giving them some great feedback as well, to make sure that they know how to write those effective essays.
The thing that stuck with me is 21st century careers, because things are changing so rapidly. So some of these things that kids might have an interest in might not give you employable skills after you leave school, graduate 4 or 5 years later, and possibly have student debt. I can see your passion. I can see just the look on her face. She's like,
So I do this every day, all day. And one of the things that I love is to make sure that the students, the bell goes off when I understand if you're going in a particular field, I want you to begin to think about taking it to the next level. So if you're going into, let's say, for instance, art history, how can you turn that major, art history, into 21st century? Well, 21st century means digital.
Yes.
How are you making this art history in a digital space? You know, if you're going to be a fine arts major and you're decided you want to draw, and how do you take that now to be able to see your art not just in Detroit but across the world? And so that's how we make sure that they understand. We now live in a global world. You've got to make sure that you're in tune with everything digital and everything as it relates to a global atmosphere.
and that goes for everyone. That goes for
Yes.
people in my field, whatever you may do for a living. We have to think on a global level,
Right.
and we have to hone our skills and adjust them for
Exactly.
this new reality. So let's talk a little bit about vocational school, right? Because the traditional college route isn't for everybody. Can kids get money for that as well?
Yes, and so this is one of the things that I'm also going to talk about, which I forgot to mention, is that a lot of times families will say, oh, you know, my student is not going to college, they're not going the traditional route, but you still have to plan that journey. There are exams that you have to take for admission. There are applications you have to complete. So we want to make sure those students know how to effectively complete an application for a vocational program. Who's going to fund the vocational program? There are some that are free, but have you done the work? You know, even down to students who decide, well, you know, I'm going to be a hairdresser. I'm going to be a stylist. It costs to get a license.
Costs a lot of money. It costs a lot
And
of
so
money.
students oftentimes don't think about, oh, well, how am I going to pay for it? They just go to the college and listen to the college and they sign up and they get a loan. Well, there's tons of scholarships out there as well. So my book covers all of that. It even covers vocational certifications. It covers the cost as it relates to scholarships that are available for hairdressers, for example, because they spend a lot of money to get their certification.
People don't know that, but getting your cosmetology license is a tens of thousands of dollar journey. It's
Yeah.
not something you don't go and pay $1,500 and learn
Right.
everything you need to know. It is tens of thousands of dollars
Right.
to get the training, to be a cosmetologist, to be a stylist,
Right.
Or maybe you want to be an esthetician. It doesn't matter. All of these things cost
Right.
a lot of money.
Yeah, so there are programs that are available. We want to make sure students understand that you got to do your homework and find those programs that are free. And parents have to stay on top of their students because they will be living at home in their basement.
Yeah, indefinitely.
Still talking about, well, I'm going to go and get my vocation license,
Yeah.
or I'm going to do this. So now, just like everybody else is planning for college, that student should be planning for their vocation career and their certification and their classes and everything that they need to get that vocation career.
Indeed, indeed. So, Sterling, what are you going to be working on particularly at the event?
Yeah, so we actually have ACT training that we'll be conducting. That way students can learn just about various techniques they can use when they're preparing for the SAT testing. We'll also have colleges on site as well, between like 13 to 15, and they'll be there to be able to register students on site as well.
Oh, wow.
So we're looking forward to that. They'll be able to interact with the students will be able to interact with them, and be able to learn more about what their colleges can offer them.
That's important because, again, you don't necessarily get the same feel of an institution by going to their website as opposed to coming to an event like this where you can kind of have one-on-one conversations with representatives from these schools. So now, what advice do both of you have for students and their families who may be feeling overwhelmed by the whole process? How would you ease their fears?
Well, I will be on staff. I should say I will be on hand, not on staff, but I will be on hand to answer a lot of questions. And a lot of times I'm not always available, but I've made myself available for this event. And so I'm hoping to answer those hard questions. But it's overwhelming. I'll be honest with you, and so that's why sometimes folks hire me to help them get on track, or they pick up my book, and it has a lot of guidance in it, and it has 1,000 scholarships from undergrad all the way to PhD. We work with students from really middle school all the way to PhD.
Start early. Start early.
Yeah, and to Gwen's point, it's definitely overwhelming. Like, I'm thinking about when I was in high school and not really knowing like which colleges I wanted to go to, which path I wanted to go to. When I was in high school, I was told by one of my instructors I wouldn't be able to go to college, and that was very deflating to me. And but my mom told me, she was like, hey, you're going to make something of yourself, you're going to make it happen in this world. And I use that as motivation, being able to get my bachelor's and master's in sports management. So we're also going to be there for these students, as well, to let them know, like, hey, don't let these words define who you are. We're going to be here to support you and help you, guide you through this process.
And you need that guidance and support. Listen, the only reason why I didn't end up drowning in student loans was because I had an older cousin who told me what I'm not going to do. And the one thing was, you're not taking out any student loans.
I love it. See?
I had someone take me through every single step of the process and wasn't even like looking for any feedback from me or anything. It was, this is what you're going to do. And I did whatever he said because he graduated with no loans, right?
Yes, that's
so
great.
Having that person there to give you the perspective, and even just, here's the thing. There was a time when everybody was taking student loans out very willy-nilly, for lack of a better phrase. But when it's time to start paying that back, it is a completely, very much a shock to people about how much the payment is, how much you're getting paid, and all of that. So this is a vital resource for all of our viewers out here, and it's incredible what you are doing for the community through this. It is important information. So give us the details of the event.
Yes. So the event is taking place Saturday, January 18th at 1-4 Place. It's going to be from 9 a.m. To 1 p.m. So from that 9 a.m. to about 11 a.m. period, we're going to be having sessions with Gwen and also our fraternity brother, Anthony Will, who will be leading the SAT session. And then from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., we're doing the college fair.
Excellent. Okay, so do people need to pre-register? Can they just show up?
Yes, great question. So you can go to DetroitAlphas.org/events, and you can click on the link, and it will take you there to register.
Okay, excellent. Thank you both so much for being with us.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us.
And we really appreciate it. We will be right back with more Live in the D+.